Konnichiwa! In today's show, we're going to be checking out some of the most expensive games that you can buy for the Sega Mega Drive that are in my games collection. We're going to go from the low hundreds all the way up to the thousands. Hang on a minute, game's missing. It's no secret that buying and collecting retro video games is an expensive hobby, and I want to know from you guys in the comments below whether you think it's worth paying out all this money for some of these games. And while you're there, it'd be awesome if you can hit the little thumbs up icon as well. Now, prices for retro games have been going up through the roof constantly now for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and the Mega Drive has seen a huge jump in prices over the last 2 years. One of the things that really frustrates me about this is a lot of people think that what they have is rare. This is a rare game, so it's got to be worth more. Look, the reality is that the Sega Mega Drive sold tens of millions of consoles, and these games sold in their thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even in their millions. It's extremely rare to find a rare game. In fact, you can take all of the territories, the US, Japan, Europe, Brazil, and you can count on one hand how many games are actually rare. Games that were produced in the hundreds of copies. And so when people put out there that their game that they're selling is rare, this isn't strictly true. What it is probably though is scarce. There's tons of these games out there in people's houses, in bins, in landfills, but they're hard to get hold of. And this is what's driving up a lot of the market prices. As people are desperate to get hold of their favorite game or a game that completes a collection or adds to it, they're willing to pay money to get hold of that game. If no one's selling at the time, if people are holding on to it, or if it's just not generally available, then that's going to drive up the price and competition to get the game. And we're going to be taking a look at 10 games in my collection, all of them £100 plus, that's about $130 upwards. All of them are pretty scarce, there's one rare game in there, and there's another game that, because of what it's made out of, is probably verging on rare, but still just a scarce game. So the first game we're going to be looking at is Wolverine, and this has been steadily going up over the last couple of years. It's about £100, you can get them for about 90, and there's some that have sold for about 110 as well. So there's a bracket here where we're seeing a price variation, and it's usually driven by demand for the game. All the prices that you're going to see in today's video are also pulled off of eBay. Though I hate it, eBay pretty much has become the market driver for prices in retro gaming nowadays. But if you want a complete in-box, pretty minty condition version of Wolverine, it's going to set you back about £100, $130. In the same bracket, you can pick up Mutant League Hockey. Love this game, absolutely brilliant. Again, it has to be in pretty damn good condition. It's got to have the manual, it's got to have the cartridge, and if possible, the registration card as well. Now, it's not always the case that an expensive game is going to be a good game, and there are some expensive games today that we're going to see that just aren't great. But in this case, this game is a damn good sports game. We're going to jump up in price now, and we're going to go to the 150 mark. And for £150, about $190, you can get Final Fantasy IV. Now, one of the key thing about all these games is that when you go onto eBay, or if you're talking to a seller, the game actually has to be in good condition. A lot of the time I'm seeing people put up games that are complete in box, the manual's tatty or the front cover's missing from it, pages are falling out, the label on the cartridge has been destroyed, or there's water damage on the actual inlay as well. We're not paying that amount of money just to own it. We do want them in good condition. So all these games that you're seeing here, the prices that people are willing to pay are for them in top-notch condition. You can't ask people to pay a ton of money and then flog them something that's a bit damaged, broken, with things missing. You wouldn't do that with a classic car. So this is $150, but it's got to be in damn good condition for you to pay that amount of money. Another thing that frustrates me about eBay is when private sellers sell games at eBay prices. Now, this frustrates me because when you sell something on eBay, you're not selling it for the price that you see it go for. eBay take a 30% cut, PayPal take a cut, and then there's shipping if you've shipped the game free as well. If you're going to sell things at eBay prices, then you really need to take off the 30% that eBay charge. If the shipping was free on a game, then you need to take that off, and you need to take off the PayPal charges as well. You can't sell something at eBay prices for the exact amount that you saw it sell on eBay. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't be. You should be selling it at a price that is reflective of what the seller would actually get back in their pocket. Now, earlier we were talking about scarcity versus rarity, and this next game definitely falls into that scarcity bracket. And it's this. It's Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. It's a big box version of the game, and it comes with an almanac. There's also a version for Where in Time, the sequel to Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And it is also a big box, it's exactly the same configuration, and it comes with an almanac. Now, the reason why this is getting more and more scarce is that a lot of people do not have the box and the almanac anymore. A lot of shops threw the box away and the almanac to save space to get more games on their shelves. And if back in the day you did manage to get hold of this boxed version, then most people would have chucked the box, maybe kept the almanac, and had the game there. So it's pretty difficult to pick this up, and because of that, it's been pushing the price up. In fact, over the last year, I've seen it go from sub 100 up to the 150 mark, and some of them are pushing 190 and more. So this game is getting rare, or at least the covering, the outside packaging and the book inside it are becoming more rare, which is driving up the demand for this and pushing that price up. Our next game is an absolute gem of a game, and this is where I don't mind paying too much. I mean, it always hurts to pay a lot of money for these old games, but this is a classic, an absolute brilliant game, and it's Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles Hyperstone Heist. The Hyperstone Heist, in my opinion, is one of the best beat-em-ups that you can pick up on the Sega Mega Drive, along with Streets of Rage and Golden Axe. It is a stunning game. It's kind of an arcade port. I'd say more inspired by the coin-op, rather than a true arcade port. But there's a ton of extra levels that you don't get in the arcade game. They're a lot longer in there. The gameplay is pretty fast and frantic as well. For 150 quid, I was not disappointed in picking up this game, although I really wish I picked it up when it was brand new back in the day for £40. Our last game in the 150 bracket is this, Gunstar Heroes, and again, an absolutely stunning game, and paying a lot of money for this kind of game is less painful when it's brilliant. As with all my games, I tried to get them in great condition, and this one is in stunning condition. I didn't actually buy this for 150. I had this from when it first came out, and in fact I think I got it at a discount. It was in a discount bargain bin back in the 90s when I was collecting or buying games for my Mega Drive, so I may have even got this for about £20. That's about $26, and now it's worth about £150. That's what, $180, $190? It's a great game, and I'm so happy to have it in the collection and not have to have paid £150 for it. Prices are going up rapidly now as we hit the 180 price mark, and we're looking at our first game in that bracket. It's Mega Turrican. Now, whilst it's hovering around the 180 mark, some copies have gone for 200 plus. Fortunately, my dealer managed to get me this for a little less than 180, and it's in brilliant condition. Again, I've seen copies of this game with ruined manuals, ripped labels, and damaged covers going for that full price. Don't buy damaged games at the top whack. Always push for a lower price. If you want it, push for that lower price, because there's no point in paying maximum price for a game that's damaged or in poor condition. Streets of Rage 3. I have no idea why Streets of Rage 3 is around £180. This game sold a ton of copies, but it's topping out at about £180. You can get it for a little bit less, but I don't see it going up in price as rapidly as some of the other games. Again, a lot of these games that we looked at here today are damn fine games to play. And although Streets of Rage 3 isn't as good as maybe 1 or 2, some of the sprite work in this and level design are just light years ahead of Streets of Rage 2. Soundtrack is definitely not as good. But again, I'm perplexed why this is so expensive. This game didn't sell in small quantities. It was a huge release over here in the UK and Europe, and a massive release in the States. So why it's going for so much, I have no idea. It's another price jump, and this time we're going up to the £300, over $400 for a game. Now we're getting on the pricey side of Mega Drive games. You thought 180, 100 was pricey? Pfft, not at all. There's a ton of games that are at that price mark. But once you start getting into 3s, 4, 5, 600 mark, this is the top end that you're paying for games. And in my collection, I have a game that hovers for around 300, although I've seen some copies go for 4, and that's Alien Soldier. Now, Alien Soldier is one of the best purchases that I've made. Super expensive. I had to sell a ton of other games to pick up this game, but it's just brilliant. It's a boss rush game made by the same guys that created Gunstar Heroes, and it is in almost immaculate condition. I picked this one up from Germany, and you can see just a great presented game. So this 300 to 400, if you can afford it, definitely worth getting. But again, kind of wish I picked it up when it first came out.
Ready? Fight!
This last game we're going to look at is a genuinely rare game. It's probably the second rarest game across the global Mega Drive and Genesis collection. Now, there are just over 100 copies of this game, I think 119, and it was never put on sale, much like Tetris in Japan. And it sees me joining an exclusive club of owners of Lakers versus Celtics. Now, the crazy thing about this game is that the cartridge inside it is exactly the same as the Genesis cartridge that you get in North America, and you can pick that up for about $5. The game inside it is practically worthless. The thing that makes this so expensive is the cover, and inside the manual, and then with that, the registration card. These are the things that really push the price of this game through the roof. If you want to pick one up in the condition I've got mine in, you're going to be paying close to £4,000. That's what, $5,000 plus for this game? It's super expensive and very rare. So to get those 10 games, it's going to cost you around £4,500 to £5,500 to pick up in today's market. Now, one thing to know is that these games will fluctuate. There's games that I bought in my collection or had originally when I first purchased them that were relatively expensive. Landstalker used to fetch around £80. You can now pick it up for £60. So prices do go up and down. Now, I'm trying to collect a full UK collection, then I want to get a PAL collection, then I'll add the US exclusives, then I may go for the world, although I'm pushing it with just the UK collection. It's super expensive to do this, and it's not a fast activity. And I want to know from you guys whether you think it's worth paying all this money out for these old games. Is it worth buying them now Even though they're expensive, they could be considered relatively cheap with the context of time. They could be worth double the price in 5-6 years' time. Or they could go down in price, in which case, have I paid too much for them? What's your thoughts on the price of retro games and collecting for retro games? Again, let us know in the comments below, and let us know what the most expensive game you've bought or added to your collection is. Now, if you've enjoyed today's show or you love your retro gaming, then why not consider subscribing by clicking on our little button just below this video. We make brand new videos about retro gaming every single Monday, and you can get notified as soon as we have a new episode by clicking on the little bell, also just below this video. And if you can't wait until Monday, or you want more of a fix from the Retro Gamer Boy Show, then you can check out our huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos, 2 of which you can watch over here.